Hey everyone, it's Flak. Battlefield enters the Battle Royale arena sometime in March, according to the Tides of War schedule. Following the success of Call of Duty's Battle Royale mode Blackout, many players are wondering if Battlefield can bottle the same kind of lightning. Now, we do have some early details on what to expect in Battlefield's take on Battle Royale, dubbed Firestorm. There's a huge map with varying environments, and players will be able to drive tanks and other vehicles. We also know it's only going to be 64 players at launch, divvied up into 16 squads of 4. Numbers aside, I truly believe Battlefield has a golden opportunity with Firestorm, not just to compete with Blackout or Fortnite, but to make amends with some of the players turned off by the game's marketing stumbles. You might be wondering how DICE can do this, and the answer is really a quite simple one. Listen to the community. Battlefield fans have been clamoring for more World War II in Battlefield 5. Now, personally, I'm enjoying the different maps highlighted in the game, but I know there's a big chunk of the player base desperate to see iconic locations like Normandy, Stalingrad, and the Ardennes. That said, designing a Firestorm map around one simple direction would all but guarantee its success. Take us on a journey through World War II. Although gameplay is obviously king, if DICE is going to make a Battle Royale map in a World War II game, I think it'd be a smart decision to design it around iconic locations and events of the conflict. So, how could this work? With most Battle Royale games, the map is broken up into distinct sections with different environments and personalities. It turns out if you boil World War II in Europe down to a handful of places, they fit pretty neatly into a map you could create as an island. Given what we know about Battlefield 5 and what we're liable to see in the future, I think modeling the map after Normandy, the Netherlands, Norway, Russia, the Ardennes, North Africa, Italy, Greece, and Germany makes some natural sense, and that might sound pretty ambitious, but hear me out. Each of these zones could have, let's say, 3 historically important sub-locations. Let me preface this by saying these locations don't need to be huge, just big enough to provide interesting gameplay and for players to recognize them. That's an important part of Battle Royale map design. Zones could also reflect the general terrain of the location, giving each section of the map its own personality. This kind of approach also gives DICE the ability to work in locations that aren't feasible to add in multiplayer for one reason or another. So, let's start with Normandy. DICE could integrate Omaha Beach, Brecourt Manor, and Carentan. Such locations give devs a chance to integrate some more actual history into Battlefield 5, while also letting players live out some movie magic moments. Omaha Beach is famously portrayed in Saving Private Ryan, while Brecourt Manor and Carentan play central roles early on in the Band of Brothers miniseries. I'd argue a good chunk of the Battlefield community is already familiar with these locations from their film counterparts and would appreciate being able to fight at those locations. Aside from the beach, this section of the map would feature more rural terrain such as fields, farmsteads, and hedgerows. Next could be the Netherlands. Here, DICE has an opportunity to include parts of the Rotterdam map to represent early World War II, while Arnhem and the Scheldt could represent later combat. The Battle of Arnhem in September 1944 saw British and Polish airborne troops attempt to take and hold the Arnhem Road Bridge during Operation Market Garden. The action is immortalized in the book and film A Bridge Too Far. Arnhem is also featured in the classic Battlefield 1942 map Operation Market Garden. The Battle of the Scheldt, meanwhile, took place in November of 1944, where Canadian troops secured shipping lanes to Antwerp. This battle could give DICE grounds to include LVTs, since they help ferry troops in the action. For environment, this section of the map could feature the islands of the Scheldt, as well as the canals and marshlands synonymous with the Low Countries. Norway would begin the snow-covered swath of the map and could include parts of the multiplayer Narvik map, the heavy water plant at Vemork, and Hegra Fortress. DICE already has the assets built for Narvik, and the Vemork heavy water plant appears in Battlefield 5's single-player war story, Nordlys. Hegra Fortress could offer an interesting location on a Battle Royale map. Here, Norwegian forces resisted German troops for nearly a month in 1940, and it could integrate some stationary weapons. Terrain would be mountainous, with the edge of the map forming fjords. To the south, the Russian section of the map would highlight major Eastern Front battles, like Stalingrad, Kursk, and DICE could even work in a battle like the Battle of Kola from the Soviet-Finnish Winter War. For Stalingrad, devs have a chance to mirror an old Battlefield 1942 map, pull inspiration from the film Enemy at the Gates, or develop their own interpretation. On a greener section of the map, Kursk could provide an interesting battleground among the hulks of destroyed tanks, and the Battle of Kola, meanwhile, took place in 1940 and is the location where the infamous White Death, Finnish soldier Simo Hauha, recorded over 500 sniper kills in less than 100 days. In the Ardennes, devs can again include battles spanning the entire Second World War, the Battle of Stonne and the defenses of the Maginot Line at Ouvrage-le-Fert took place in 1940, while Bastogne and Foy could represent the Ardennes Offensive, beginning in 1944. The Battle of Stonne in May 1940 was the site of some of the fiercest fighting of Germany's campaign into France, and the village changed hands 19 times over the course of 3 days. At the Ouvrage-le-Fert, the entire 100-man French garrison died when overwhelmed by German assault. Its bunkers and tunnels would add an entirely different style of gameplay to the Battle Royale map. Meanwhile, the Siege of Bastogne is synonymous with the 101st Airborne Division and features prominently in the Band of Brothers miniseries, as does the village of Foy. Both of these battles are worth including on their own merit, though their depiction in film makes them more accessible to players. For the North African section of the map, DICE could feature the Siege of Tobruk, the Kasserine Pass, and the Battle of Bir Hakeim. The Siege of Tobruk would offer a combat opportunity in a coastal city, while the Kasserine Pass offers more mountainous terrain. The Battle of Bir Hakeim could easily manifest as a largely open and flat section of the map, suitable for long-range engagements. It would also pay tribute to the tenacious fighting of the French Foreign Legion. Italy could showcase Anzio, Monte Cassino, and the Gothic Line. Anzio provides a port location and urban fighting, while Monte Cassino would include fighting in mountainous terrain and within an abbey. Monte Cassino has all but been confirmed for future Battlefield 5 content, so DICE would already have access to the assets to make it. The Gothic Line also saw heavy fighting in World War II and would help vary the combat on the map with bunkers, trenches, and other defensive emplacements. We also know DICE has confirmed Greece as a future locale for multiplayer content, so why not include it in Battle Royale? A good section of the map could stand in as Crete, while devs could also showcase the Battle of Thermopylae. Crete was the site of some crazy stuff in World War II, including an aerial invasion and the kidnapping of a German general. The Battle of Thermopylae took place at the Hot Gates, yes, the very same location showcased in the film 300. There, Anzacs fought a successful delaying action against the Germans in 1941. Lastly, at the center of the map is the German section. Here, DICE have an opportunity to include any number of different environments, since the war began and ended here for the Third Reich. Personally, I would love to see locations based on a prisoner of war camp like Stalag Luft III, the Peenemünde testing grounds, Castle Itter, and at the center of it all, Berlin, with a massive flak tower. The prisoner of war camp Stalag Luft III was the site of the infamous Great Escape, in which prisoners dug 3 separate tunnels named Tom, Dick, and Harry in their bid to escape German captivity. The Peenemünde testing grounds featured a large underground tunnel system and was also featured as a map in Battlefield 1942's expansion, Secret Weapons of World War II. Although technically in Austria, Castle Itter was the site of one of the weirdest battles of the Second World War. American and German Wehrmacht soldiers fought alongside French prisoners of war against SS units attacking the castle. The battle for Castle Itter took place just days before the end of the war in Europe and was probably the only time Germans and Americans actually fought together side by side. Castle Itter also looks pretty cool, so it's got that going for it as well. And lastly, at the center of this Battle Royale map, a flak tower. Built from reinforced concrete, these beasts were built to guard Berlin from air attack. Many Battle Royale maps include a high vantage point for players, and this would work perfectly. It'd also clarify for players where the center of the map is without having to consult your minimap. Obviously, everything here would be subject to change and interpretation. I'm not a game dev. I don't know how difficult some of this stuff would be to accomplish in Battlefield 5 and the Frostbite engine. However, there are a couple other reasons why I like this map idea. Number one, it's not bound by factions, which means DICE can include locations in places like Poland without worrying about building Polish assets. That's often a big obstacle for them to actually put that into the game. That should make it more doable from a development perspective anyway. The other reason is that the map can be more easily changed because it's compartmentalized. Fortnite occasionally updates or changes particular locations on its Battle Royale map, and DICE would have the same opportunity. For example, DICE could elect to replace part of the map with a new section inspired by the Pacific Theater at some point. Now, we already know DICE has a Battle Royale map in the works, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about it. I haven't played it, and I don't know what it looks like. However, it's not uncommon for Battle Royale games to have more than one map, and PUBG just released a new one. I made this video just to illustrate what's been on my mind for the last few months regarding Firestorm, and while it may end up being nothing more than a pipe dream, I'm curious to hear what you think of the idea. Tell me down below in the comments, and make sure to tell me which historical locations you'd like to see in a historical Battle Royale. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to turn on notifications to get the latest Battlefield 5 news. And as always, thanks for watching.